Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, so haven't talked basketball in a while. This has been over a year since I just run my mouth, right? I used to run my mouth, talk about random teams, and I enjoyed making those videos, and I just haven't done it in a long time. But I figured since I've been in full-fledged NBA draft, fantasy draft mode, I can at least talk about a few things that pop up. And what I found I'm doing is I've joined the Sleeper app, which gives you options that the other apps that I've used don't have. So for example, I've always understood a fantasy, what do they call them, dynasty drafts, where you keep the same team over and over again for a long time, and different drafts, different types of options like that. And so what I did was get a bunch of dynasty drafts this year, and I will be keeping them for as long as that lasts. I don't know if that is something that continues for 25 years or nothing, but I know you at least can keep it for like 3 years or more. So yeah, man, that's what I'm doing. What I'm doing is I'm drafting players that are younger, although in your best interest it's probably best to get a combination of both players that can help you now and then players you want to keep in the future. But what I've done with my fantasy teams, just out of sheer desire, is to draft mostly young players under the age of like 25. So I just believe in the productivity of young players, and then granted, there have been plenty of examples of where players do not get minutes or don't develop properly. So like I said, I don't think I would be the guy to advise people on how to handle dynasty drafts. This is my first year really getting involved in that type of thing. But one thing I can say is, for my money, I'm gonna swing for upside with every pick. And so it's really about, I'm probably punting my first year in most of these teams because of it. I'm not taking no guys that are either in their prime and about to exit it, certainly not no guys that are past their prime. And so it's easy for me to get all of what I want while everybody else is taking the big names and role players that probably don't have any upside at all. I'm foregoing all of that, and I'm swinging for the rookies and second year guys and third year guys, mostly rookies though, since this was such a productive draft. In theory, one of the greatest drafts of all time in theory. So I filled up a lot of my teams with those guys. So when you start thinking about the teams that are next to really do something, it's kind of a bag of teams that you don't expect nothing out of. Like Milwaukee has some young players that are exciting. Utah has some really exciting young players. Well, some teams. Those are the two teams that come to mind immediately, since they have such a nice crop of young guys. Obviously, OKC, San Antonio with their bigs, Dallas with their young stud forwards, Flag and Johnson, I think are going to be pretty interesting in my opinion, because they're both huge and they're both very capable of helping you on both sides of the floor. They're both very capable of killing it on the glass. And so in my opinion, it's going to be a little tricky because Dallas doesn't necessarily have the team structure that really showcases Johnson very much in theory. But if he gets his minutes and you slap him next to Flag for like 35 minutes a night, what you have are two incredibly difficult forwards to deal with that are hounding you on one end and then getting buckets on the other and second chance opportunities on the other. So without really knowing what to expect from Dallas, I can just say they got the makings of something very good just with Cooper and Morez alone. So that's interesting to me. But with Milwaukee, we've talked about Milwaukee recently. I just really like the young players they got. I don't know if they got the right front office making decisions around what they have, because you look at some of the stuff that they've done. The Miles Turner contract is ridiculous. The Gary Trent Jr. contract is absolutely ridiculous. But when you look at the young talent that they have, you talk about Braden Burries, Ryan Rollins, the guys they got from Miami, Jaime Jaquez, and Tyler Hero, obviously the big that they picked up, Khalil Ware, Nate Ament. Like, you look at this roster, you're like, this is a nice young roster if not for the front office just prone to doing things around it that make absolutely no sense. So if I were the owner of the Milwaukee Bucks, and I've said this many times, I would just get a new front office around, because right now, with what you've been able to pick up in that crop of players, you can really build something good. But if you keep doing this Gary Trent, Miles Turner stuff, it's going to ruin it. Like, if you keep making these type of decisions around what you have, not knowing that you have something very good, you could ruin it before it actually gets to develop properly. So I would tell them, you got something good, get rid of the people that are making all these bad decisions and bring in some people that have a brand new brain trust, and you'll have a team that's pretty exciting in the coming years, just off of the strength of these young players. Utah is extremely interesting to me. I'm curious to see what type of jump Ace Bailey's going to make. I'm curious to see if they're going to create opportunities for some young guys that maybe don't necessarily have a path to playing, or if they're just going to move these guys. Filipowski comes to mind. Cody Williams comes to mind. Isaiah Collier comes to mind. Now, the other young players I expect they're going to showcase. But those three, they're good enough to spread their rings in a different situation, and is a good trade package for something that can potentially be attractive to the Utah Jazz. If they keep those guys, they're probably not going to be any better than career backups. But right now, if any of those three players find themselves in the right situation, I think all three of those guys could potentially turn into some, at the very least, strong starters. Filipowski's always shown me he's better than the role he's been asked to play. Cody Williams was a high-level lottery pick who is taking a little longer to develop because he came in with a significantly low amount of strength, and he's very young. And so he's starting to show signs of pop right now. He had a pretty good summer league. Ended the season pretty well when they gave him the minutes. I think he's ready to start the process of looking like a real starter in the NBA right now. Start the process of it. You know, I'm not saying he's ready to go. He's not breaking out right now. But signs of life, he's pulsing right now. This should be a very important year for him. And then Isaiah Collier, I think, and I've said this about Isaiah Collier many times, Isaiah Collier is one of the best assist players in basketball. If you can count on him to do anything, it's to rack up assists. He brings them things in at volume, y'all. Even in limited minutes, he brings them in at volume. If he had his own opportunity to be a starting point guard, I'm not sure he doesn't lead the league in assists. I'm not sure he doesn't. Now, I've seen players that have done this but never really actually get off the ground. I think of guys like Brevin Knight and Kendall Marshall come to mind. You can always count on them for assists no matter what. But did they really get off the ground? No. But he has a lot more natural ability than those players. He's a much better player than both of them guys. And I'd like to see him get off the ground. So given the fact that they obviously have Keontae George and now DP in place, I don't see a path to Isaiah Collier ever being the starter that ultimately his game shows me he should probably be asked to be. Now, he's going to have to show he can hit the jumper. I don't know if the three-point shot's coming along. That's something that I don't think is a strength of his. But he makes up for it by driving at the rim repeatedly, having a big and strong enough body to get offensive boards and finish around the rim, get to the line repeatedly. And then anything he doesn't do shooting the ball, he can make up for by getting others involved at a very, very high clip. So I'm a high believer on Isaiah Collier. I put him on a lot of my teams. His ADP is extremely low, especially in redraft markets. Now in fantasy dynasty markets, he's probably somebody you're going to take all the time because you know what he can be if he gets in the right situation. But for redraft markets, you consider he's still in Utah. So he's going to, at the very most, probably get some minutes if DP goes down, you know. And so that's the problem. I just think that the Utah Jazz, they have a lot of talent that could potentially really fill a real role in a different situation, and they don't really have the need for those players in their own situation. That's the problem. Filipowski is a hell of a rebounder, hell of a scorer, double-double guy at the power forward/center position. A little undersized to be playing center all the time. I don't know if he can stretch the floor very well. I'm not really sure. But he's a highly productive NBA player at this point. Every time he gets an opportunity, he shows that. And I would just like to see him in a different situation because there's no real path to him getting the minutes. Now, is he going to be starting at center? I doubt it. I doubt it. They're probably just going to start Nurkic and then having Jackson Hayes back him up, which I think is it's not necessary if you're the Utah Jazz. We said that when they did the trade to send Kessler my way, my Lakers. I said that their center position is I think their center position is bad, but it's a choice because they have so many assets that they can use to improve that position at any moment. So that they're not good at that position right now is something that they actually choose. I don't know why you would choose that when you have the upside of the talent that they have and the depth that they have. It makes no sense for you to have poor center play at all. It makes no sense. And so that's really where I'm looking at Utah. I'm like, are they mischaracterizing Nurkic as somebody who's able to actually still play at the level that he was able to play back in the day when he was with Portland and when he was with the Denver Nuggets? Because if so, they're going to find out he's an injury-prone, aging center that's probably not able to do that anymore. And then Jackson Hayes, if he's on the floor with Collier can get him some of them lobs that Luka gave him, although he don't have the vision Luka got. But you would find that he has somebody that can activate him. But it's absolutely necessary that he is activated. And given the fact that they have Keontae George and Darren Peterson at their guard spot, I'm concerned that those guys are going to be looking for their own shot a little more than they would be to get Jackson Hayes actually involved. So I expect some regression from Jackson Hayes just off the strength that he doesn't have Luka to play with anymore. And so it's a lot to consider with the Utah Jazz, but if you ask me, the Utah Jazz still have probably the second or third best young crop of players in the NBA right now. And so that would be something that I think they need to try to consolidate and make some sense of their roster so that they can get the most of the value of everyone they have, because otherwise they're asking guys to play lesser roles than what they need to be playing based on their talent level and ability to produce. So that's what I want to say. I think the Utah Jazz are in a tricky spot. I don't know exactly what I would do, but I do know that those three players that I mentioned, Williams, Filipowski, and Collier, need to be in bigger roles than what the Utah Jazz are going to be asking them to play. I know that. I know that for a fact. And given the fact that they're so slim at the center position, it wouldn't hurt for them to move two of those guys for a center. It wouldn't hurt. It would not hurt them at all to do that. So this kind of stuff that I'm thinking about right now. But I'm pretty much where I need to be. So I'll probably cut the video short. My name is BDO44. I thank you all for watching.